What's up, guys? This is Mike, the editor. I just want to make a quick correction before the show starts. At some point during the iPhone 15 Pro Max topic, I was talking about the history of Apple and the early days of Mac OS. I had mentioned that I was under the assumption that Mac OS had supported DX9 back in the day. That was incorrect. I was confusing what I thought was Mac OS's official support for DX9 with what actually was the early days of Boot Camp. And then also, fair warning, my audio for this episode was pretty screwed up. I wasn't paying attention and didn't do a mic check before we started recording. So I want to apologize for that. And if you're on headphones or on a car stereo, I would recommend turning it down just a little bit, just to make sure that we can keep your beautiful ears as beautiful as they are, so you continue to hear our shenanigans and our ramblings. See you on the next episode and enjoy.
Let's talk some video game stuff, man. What do you got for us today? We got an update, right? After last week,
So
Mr. Let's charge gamers $1 to reload their guns.
just a penny per bullet, motherfucker.
Yes, fuck, dude. Fuck.
So just for anybody that's chiming into this episode that hasn't watched the last one, or wasn't paying attention because it was all over the place.
It kind of rambled.
Yeah.
We wandered.
Unity announced a few weeks ago that they were, I guess, restructuring their payment system. So actually, you know what? I did a whole screenshot and I lost it. After something like 200,000 installs, they start to charge you as a developer per install. And I think it was like, what did I say, 20 cents or something like that?
I believe it was 20 cents.
Yeah.
I just listened to the episode a few days ago. So yeah, I think it was 20 cents.
And that doesn't sound like a lot, but you also have to think on the grand scheme of things. If you're getting to a point where you have 200,000 installs and then they start charging you, you're going to get to a point where that 20 cents is going to add up real fucking fast.
Yeah.
I had mentioned that the Slay the Spire dev, in the last episode, I mentioned that they had apparently compared their current income to what they would owe Unity on this new payment system. And they would owe something like $2.4 million, something like that. And they're not a big studio. Like they feasibly cannot afford to do that and stay above water.
So just doing some quick maths here. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis is on the Unity engine, as we discussed last episode. It passed 50 million downloads. Game is free. That would be $10 million.
Yep.
Quick math. Yeah. For a free game. So I guess all those overly aggressive microtransactions might be necessary.
I mean, I can't say that I feel bad for anyone, trying to push microtransactions off people's throat. But in the new runtime fee is what they're calling it. Understanding the runtime fee, it's like a blog post. Now developers are getting a choice of 2.5% gross revenue share or a fee based on initial engagements. So what that means, I believe, is the 2.5% gross revenue. That's gross is month, correct?
Gross, gross is pre-tax.
So
it'd be gross annual would be like your pre-tax annually, or gross monthly would be your pre-tax annually.
Okay, because they don't mention annual or not. So I'll just presume it's annual. So 2.5% gross revenue share. Unity would just take a cut of that at the end of the year. Or fee based on initial engagements. So that they kind of break down that more in the little screenshot I have here. Okay. So if you're a personal developer and you're not, subscribing to any pro or enterprise subscription plan with them, there is no fee. No matter how much engagement you get, it's free. If you subscribe as a pro member, which I have no idea what that entails, if you get extra assets or whatever, your first 1 to 100,000 engagements per month is 15 cents. 101,000 to 500,000 engagements is 0.075 cents. Why not just say 7 cents? Anyway, then 500,001 to 1 million is 3 cents. And then everything past a million is 2 cents. That's for Group A. Group B, which is literally just Germany, basically every engagement from 1 to everything past that is 1 cent. Enterprise, this is where shit starts to get slightly more confusing. 1 to 100,000, this is for Group A, is again 0.125 cents. Why not just say 12 cents? Or just round up. Like, what the fuck?
Because they love their goddamn decibel system, you fucking non-American.
Yeah.
I don't know.
101,000 to 500K is 6 cents. 501K to 1 mil is 2 cents. Everything past a million is 1 cent. It's even more confusing for Germany, where it's 0.005 cents for an enterprise.
Okay. So looking at Unity Pro features, I just kind of Googled it real quick. They definitely market this in a confusing way. I'm gonna say that right now. If you go just to the link, if you Google Unity Pro, you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. They just say random shit that like makes me wonder, okay, so like is nothing included in base Unity? For example, support and learning, priority queue with customer service. Okay, sounds like a pro feature, right? Partner advisors, sounds like a pro feature. Access expert service add-on. Okay, so like you can add a service for like talking to an expert if you're having issues. Sounds like a pro thing. Unity real-time development platform. Aren't I paying to use Unity on the other version too? Or I guess getting it free? So like create and optimize high-end games and interactive experiences, build once and deploy to reach more users with Unity. That seems like a base feature. Develop to game consoles. Deploy to game consoles. Build and deploy to platforms such as Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, blah, 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 blah. Again, seems like that should be a basic splash screen customization. Ooh. Unity Mars author, Havoc physics for Unity. So apparently if you don't get Pro, you don't get Havoc physics. Like, they don't make this clear in terms of like, you know how most services you get like base checkboxes, what you get,
Yeah.
Pro checkboxes. Nah, that's not this. That's not this at all. It's just a list of shit. It's it's
A list of shit. I love that.
it's just a list of shit, bro. Unity Pro features, support and learning, create, crash and error reporting, and monetize.
There's got to be like a personal
Could be
versus
more clear.
Unity personal versus Pro.
I mean, we can do it right here. Pull that shit up. We'll hash
plans.
this out.
Let's see. Oh, look, I found the check marks. Okay.
Oh, did you really?
Okay. I found some check marks.
Because I got like choose plan, and that's about it. I don't have check marks.
They even give you a legend. So green check marks is included.
Ooh, look at you.
Green plus symbols is additional costs, and then just an empty circle is just you're fucked. Like it's not included.
Get fucked, buddy.
So personal,
cool.
Personal includes Unity's real-time development platform, the Unity visual scripting, Unity version control, 3 users and 5 gigabytes of storage. That's all under Unity version control. And then you also get cloud diagnostics, personal use, Unity ads, and an in-app purchase plugin.
Okay.
You don't get splash screen customization. You do not get deploy to game consoles. You do not get Unity Mars authoring tools for AR and MR. You do not get Havoc's physics for Unity. Utinity? What the fuck was that?
Utinity is the next system after Unity like dies because of this.
Yeah.
Utinity is what births from the ashes of the dead phoenix.
Yeah. Extended LTS support for 3 years is not included with personal or pro.
Fucking whatever.
Basically,
same things,
just
man.
Everything else besides those 5 or 6, 7 things that I had mentioned are not included. On the pro, you get everything I've mentioned so far besides the LTS support. You also get the ability to pay extra or additional server license capacity.
So I just want to say I just went to choose a plan. One seat for the Pro, paid annually is $2,000
$240 a year. Yep.
Yep, $20.40 a year. Annually, paid monthly is $185. One license for Pro. Get fucked, indie devs, I guess. Good luck affording this. What the fuck? What the
And then
fuck, dude?
the
Like
other-
Unity, what?
The shitty thing is on this marketing thing that they have with this that I screenshotted, it doesn't
Mhm.
show the industry one. It shows Pro, Enterprise, and Personal. On Enterprise, it doesn't have a price listed. It just says to contact us. So what they're
Yeah, it
probably going to
does.
do is give you some
Bend,
gouge price
bend you
based
over
on.
the barrel and fuck you
Yeah.
with a raptor
They're going to
claw.
ask you how many how many developers do you have, blah 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 blah, and then give you a gouged out price based on that. The industry one,
Yeah,
is just
$4,950.
$50 a year flat. So if you're in a position where you're thinking about getting the enterprise one, honestly, just get the industry one.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's
Wow.
not great.
Wow.
I will say though, props to them, because remember when I said they changed their TOS, so anybody on the old system is just fucked. They backtracked that, so anybody on the old system prior
Probably a good call.
to July of 2023, or maybe it's, I have to look at it again. It's either prior to this past July or next July, when I think is when this is going to be like coming into play, like for sure. They're not going to change that all that stuff is going to be untouched. So if you're in a position where you're making, all of your gross revenue from Unity ads, and you have Havoc, physics engine, all that stuff included in your specific package as a personal user, they're not going to pull that from you. Supposedly, on paper, they're not going to pull it from you, but we'll see.
Okay.
That's all I had to say about that. Just a quick update.
Yeah. Not super quick, but we went a little bit deeper than we probably needed to. But it's interesting.
Yep.
I think Unity is definitely nuking themselves. So I look forward to Utinity coming out.
Yeah.
In 2025.
Yeah. This also is a great segue. This is why I want to talk about it first, because going into the iPhone 15 Pro Max, or whatever the fuck it's called, I personally didn't watch the unveiling, but
I mean, it's just another fucking iPhone.
It's more or less. But all of my anti-iOS friends immediately hit me up, and they were like, "Oh my god, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is supposedly going to be like PS5 console level quality with gaming and stuff like that," because they had demoed, I guess, Resident Evil 7 or Village. They also apparently demoed Resident Evil 4 Remake and a few other.
Like 8 is Village.
Yeah. And a few other things. But my biggest thing with this is I can't tell if it's pre-roll or if it was recorded on the device. Device being like the actual like chipset, not necessarily the iPhone, because I don't think you could record an iPhone screen yet without plugging it into a computer. So we'll have to see what happens. Honestly,
I will say this: the price point's impressive.
Yeah,
I gotta be honest. They're selling it for under $1,000. I mean, it's $999, but like
the Pro Max.
Yeah. Oh no, this is just the 15 Pro. Never mind. Where's the Pro fucking Max? I googled Pro Max and it gave me the Pro.
The Pro Max is probably like $1,800.
Where's the 15 Pro Max? Yeah. Let's see. Did they give us a price? Here we go. Pro Max.
It launched yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, they definitely didn't. Here's the only issue I have. Did they go over specs at all on this thing?
It's Apple Silicon it's the A17 Pro chip.
Yeah, but I'm like, battery life, RAM, anything like that. Did they give us anything to go off of there?
Not that I looked into, but I'm sure it's probably similar to the last phone with like 12 gigs of RAM and like, assuming you're not using those ray tracing cores, you're probably going to get about a day or two worth of battery life if you're just like a normal user. Which then, if I'm going to buy a Pro Max.
I'm going to go ahead and say this now. Don't waste your fucking money. Because I don't know where mine's at. Asus makes a ROG phone. Okay. It has Qualcomm Snapdragon, top of the line every year. It has 32 gigs of RAM, and it has two 3400 milliamp hour batteries in it. Fucker lasts all day. It also has 170 or 165 refresh rate screen at 2K quality. The phone's $1,000. It plays games significantly better than this iPhone will. I fucking guarantee it.
I'll also point
Don't
out
get me
that-
wrong, it's impressive, but like if you get a game dedicated to gaming, like you start to realize what you're paying for with phones. And 90% of what you're paying for in phones is camera technology. If you're not somebody who takes a lot of pictures and you're somebody that consumes a lot of media, trust me, even if you're not a gamer, watching video on a gaming phone, listening to audio on a gaming phone, daily life on a gaming phone is significantly better. Now, don't get me wrong, there's quirks, like my screen freaks out occasionally, and I have to reboot the phone. There's quirks with gaming phones because they're like, quote unquote, third party, right? They're not iPhone, they're not Samsung.
Yeah.
But that's also the beauty of them too, is they're not those. So you're not paying for stupid levels of cameras. 48 megapixel camera in the iPhone 15 Pro. Who the fuck cares? Who needs that? Are you filming a movie? Fuck off. Take your picture of your food, post it on Facebook. You're done.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're using your or your cat or your dog or what? Like why do you need a 48 megapixel camera, bro? Or your cat dog? Like
I do
120 millimeters of zoom. Bro, get a fucking telescopic fucking camera.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that with your phone?
I do want to point out, while we're on the topic of gaming performance in phones, I have the S33 Ultra. It's currently acting as my webcam. But I got a deal on it because I'm on Google Fi. I only paid $600 for a pre-order. If I was going to pay the full $1,200 up front, I would never have gotten this phone. It has the current, I think it's a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, 12 gigs of RAM with like a hybrid storage setting, so I can go into my settings and enable an extra like 4 gigs or an extra 8 gigs to get up to 24 gigs of RAM or whatever. I don't think that math was correct. You get what I'm.
They're claiming up to 29 hours of battery life. I call bullshit.
Yes,
maybe if you're watching at 440p or something. Just gonna throw that out there.
I also do take a lot of pictures. You know, I'm a content creator. I post to TikTok.
Sure.
I'm using my fucking camera right now, for instance. So I am in a position where I would need a camera that's like of decent quality. For whatever fucking reason, Samsung is using some software magic to somehow make 200 megapixels work on their phone. I know how the software works, and it's not true 200 megapixels, but we'll go for it. Sure.
Well, just like their TVs aren't really 60 gigahertz or 120 gigahertz, they're some kind of black magic bullshit, DLSS kind of nonsense.
Interpolation, frame insertion type thing.
Like I said, black magic bullshit.
Yeah. So the other thing I want to point out with the other few things I should say I want to point out with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. If you know about any of the history with Apple, around the late 90s and the early 2000s, they decided to shift their platform marketing from we're the super fun to we're the professionals.
Mm-hmm.
So if you remember,
I remember the early 2000s commercials were like the fun commercials, and
so,
Microsoft was the business commercials.
Yeah, so if you remember the first like Mac computer was shipped with games.
Fucking colorful.
It was shipped with games.
And it was colorful.
And it had all kinds of stuff that you could play with. And like if you if you were a family and you had a couple of kids, there was like a kids section and you can play like, e-learning games and things like that. And they
gizmos and gadgets, bro.
They marketed that computer hard as shit to schools, especially elementary schools, because the fun colors, kids love them.
Yep.
Then they shifted away from gaming and rebranded themselves as a professional use company. So, up until I think it was 2012, around 2012, game porting to Mac OS completely plateaued.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
they locked down their system too much. Their OS was too hard to like tinker through to get games. OpenGL was what they were supporting. They moved completely away from was it DX9? I think they supported DX9 briefly. And then when Vulkan came around, no, it was supposed to be the savior and like, oh, Mac OS and Linux is supposed to get all this gaming support now. Linux got it for sure. We have ProTime.
Mm-hmm.
Mac OS, they still technically don't support officially Vulkan as an API. Now what they're doing is they're using this like game porting toolkit, I think is what they call it, that they unveiled earlier this year with Ventura, whatever the new Mac OS is. And I haven't heard any major studios using it to port any of their AAA titles to Mac OS. Have you?
So I can say that there is one. Let me double check here if I can get it to open. I'm pretty sure Baldur's Gate 3 said it is either going to or has ported to Mac.
So
but like again,
that's
who the fuck cares? Like Mac isn't.
That's also that kind of falls in line with like, yes, it's a AAA game in terms of like budget, but in terms of replayability and like just how like the type of game that it is, a lot of people consider like dungeon scrolling, point and click, like if it's not World of Warcraft, it's not worth playing. So the only games that really get ported to Mac anymore are like games that aren't considered interesting to the mass, if that makes sense. So you got your free to play.
I mean, that sounds like
you got Baldur's Gate, Diablo, things like that.
That sounds like what Mac's Air is, I guess. But
that
look, if you want a game, you got to play on Windows. You got to play on Linux. It's stop Mac. You just that's not who you are.
On Mac OS is fucking awful. Just all of that history bullshit aside, they're doubling down on this game porting toolkit, but now they're pushing it to iOS. And their thing is that they have this closed ecosystem now, right? Because it's all running on their silicon. So if you port a game to Mac, it also has to run on Apple TV. It also has to run on the iPhone. It also has to run on the iPad. It also has to run on all this other shit that they're
doing the same shit Microsoft did with their Xbox system.
Basically, yeah.
Where they're basically dragging themselves down.
Basically. And what's happening now is people are worried because if these are your requirements and it's always, whatever the latest system or OS or device that you release is what it has to be ported to work. Let's say, Resident Evil 9 comes out, right? You're playing as Ethan's daughter or whatever, and gets ported to Mac OS, and the iPhone 18 Pro Max or the 19 Pro Max, however long it's going to take Capcom to fucking make that game. But it doesn't work on the last gen device. Now you've officially alienated God knows how many people on just that device.
I mean, to be fair,
every device
those people are gonna pay to upgrade their device next year anyways because it's the new iPhone. Like that is iPhone users, bro. Like they could change literally a number and people will shell out money for it. And I don't understand it. I think they're all psycho. But I mean, it must be nice to have enough money to be like, yeah, no, every year I can drop $1,000 on a new. I mean, it's the same thought process for people who buy new flagship GPUs every year, right? Yeah. Like it's the same thing. Like those people are fucking psychos too. I'll drop $1,700 on the 5090. The fuck? What do you do?
Yeah, my first major upgrade that I got myself, I'm excluding my 4090 because that was a gift to me. I was on a 980 Ti, and I went from a 980 Ti to an RTX 2070.
Nice. That's a big jump.
Or was it?
I went from a 10. Yeah. I went from a 1070 to a 7900 XT, so I drastically jumped
You
my
waited
system. So
3 or 4 whole generations.
I didn't wait, bro. I didn't wait. I could not get a GPU at an acceptable price to save my life. There was no fucking waiting. I was chomping at the bit.
But that also brings me to hopefully what is the closing part of this rant. The iPhone 15 Pro Max or 17, no, yeah, 15 Pro Max. Jesus Christ, so many different numbers.
Fuck knows.
The 15 Pro Max. It's Apple's A17 Pro Silicon. It's supposed to have this like really, great RT hardware in it. It's supposed to have top tier game performance. I think they marketed it as like comparable to a PS4 Pro or like a PS5 or something like that. But then today, a bunch of information came out because now that the phone is released, the phone has abysmal thermal throttling problems.
Nice.
Even with an external cooler.
Awesome.
So
Not surprised.
So they're losing for the first like minute or whatever. Multi-core performance in these benchmarks that they're doing are like fucking insanely good. Like actually on par with higher end Android phones and gaming phones and things like that. And then, and again, this is with an external cooler attached to the back of the phone.
Jesus.
The performance,
which just so you know, those things don't work at all. Like Asus has one for their ROG phones as well. They don't work
unless it's
genuinely do not work
unless it's like it's a specific type of cooling method,
magnetic heat transference kind of thing. I can't remember exactly. What
I can't remember this. I have a cooler that I got for my Samsung phone because obviously when lately Unreal Engine games have been coming out on phones that are like fucking insanely good looking. Arena Breakout is a good example of that. It honestly looks like a PS4 quality, like looter shooter. It's insane. The phone gets hot and my cooler does great to cool it off, but it's still not like perfect. But yeah, so the iPhones, they have some serious thermal throttling issues. And then I also want to touch on the fact that I genuinely don't think that any major developers, aside from what Apple has lined up right now, is going to port anything to the phone. I don't think that they have enough traction because, again, they spent so much of their fucking early life switching to we're not a gaming product. We are a professional business product.
Yeah.
So at most, I think we'll see Warframe and like stuff that already exists on the iPhone get updated with this new porting software to like support whatever the latest graphical API and like a bunch of bells and whistles is. Aside from that, and like Mirage, whenever it comes out, apparently that's supposed to be coming to the 15 Pro Max. But I mean, that could fucking change. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it does, but I have a feeling it's going to be not great.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah. That's
all right.
I got
well,
for
speaking of Assassin's Creed, we got some gameplay for Assassin's Creed Nexus, the VR game that apparently is exclusive only to the Oculus. We'll see how long it takes before that gets jailbroken and released to other PC headsets. But
there's already ways to do it, and
I mean, I played Fallout 4 VR on the Oculus almost immediately. So fuck exclusivity on a PC. Like if you're releasing on PC, it should be playable on all headsets. That's just my opinion. Exclusive ecosystem should be like console versus PC.
Yeah, there's already like an app you can download from some modder that basically makes Oculus
and I think it's
playable.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny. Tim's really upset that it's not coming to PSVR, and I'm like, bro, you got Horizon and Resident Evil 4.
Does he have PSVR 2?
Yeah, I don't think he has 2 yet. I think he plans to, but I'm like, you gotta let PC have something, because like they don't have anything that's exclusive. I guess Half-Life Alyx. I don't know if that's on.
I don't think it
PS4
is.
yet or PSVR. So we've got 2 and they've got 2. It seems fair.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable. Anyway, we got some actual gameplay footage, and I'll be honest, dude. If that's honestly, it's probably off screen. That's not what you're gonna see, because I don't know. I haven't gotten a chance to like really deep dive into the new Quest 3 headset, but if that's what you're seeing in headset, dude, the game's gonna look great in the headset. And like the gameplay looked fantastic. Plays Ezio Auditore, Cassandra, because she's apparently the canon protagonist from fucking Odyssey, and then Connor. Was it Connor Henway? Yeah, it was Connor Henway.
Kenway.
Kenway. In Assassin's Creed 3, and there's some kind of branching story that connects them all. Seems really vague and cliche. I just hope it's like an actual full game, because
Like a
they
quick, like
did like
1 hour demo.
Dude, if that, I don't, I, the biggest regret I have when it comes to VR is spending money on the Star Wars lightsaber, 3-part saga thing that they did.
Oh
That was
yeah.
exclusive to Quest. It was like $7 an episode, and the episodes are like 12 minutes long. Dude, I was like, this would have been so cool if you guys, yeah, they bent me over the barrel.
Bro, they were like, yeah,
But I wanted,
for it.
oh Jesus, they really did, because I wanted VR lightsabers, so I'm like, oh, this will be cool, and it's very not cool. The story's mildly interesting. Vader's trying to bring Padme back to life, and you stop him. And they lead it off in like a way that you could potentially have a sequel, like an actual game or something. And it is apparently canon, weirdly. But it's like, it's Vader Immortal is what it was called.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's not worth the money. It's not worth the money. But so hopefully Assassin's Creed Nexus isn't that, and we get like a real game. But the fact that it's 3 protagonists makes me feel like it's going to be a 20-second cash grab kind of thing, 3-part episode kind of thing. I don't know. I hope not. It looks great. Even if it sucks, I guess there's always Vampire the Masquerade Justice, which is a new VR game coming out from Vampire Masquerade franchise,
right now,
which looks fantastic.
Sorry. Right now, as we're talking about Star Wars and VR, right now the best Star Wars experience that I've been able to find is take Blade and Sorcery. There's a fuck ton of Star Wars mods for that game. There's a guy on TikTok that literally just runs around in like sandbox environments and just starts like executing Order 66, like literally.
It's the only issue I have with that is it is just a sandbox arena fighter kind of game. Like it's fun for a few minutes, but like at that point I might as well just go play Beat Saber.
Yeah.
At least then I've got some good jams in my ear.
Yeah. I mean, there are other modders out there that are making like story for it.
Yeah.
In the same essence that, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat have a story, quote unquote, but it's sort of just cinematics, and then you just punch the shit out of each other.
So Assassin's Creed Nexus VR is coming November 16th. I'll give you some of the blurbs here. It's an all-new Assassin's Creed story. Abstergo Industries has found a way to retrieve lost artifacts that can be used to manipulate people's beliefs, to sabotage their plan. You'll uncover all new stories and accomplish new missions as legendary assassins. Explore and parkour freely. Nexus features a wide variety of historically accurate open world maps, 360-degree navigation, climb and parkour everywhere as you choose how to achieve your objectives. Intuitive combat, use real world motion to block and parry, kind of like Blade and Sorcery, like you were talking about. Use your tomahawk, bow, crossbow, throwing knives, blah 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 blah. Stealth, you can do stealth in it. It's got an interactive world. You can basically move through open maps, interact with historical figures, civilians, and enemies who react to your actions. Like, it sounds like a real game. It sounds like a fully fleshed out title, but like I still am holding out my speculation, my skepticism.
I'm curious to know if it's like a fully open world game or if it's like linear open environments.
It's a good question. They say where's that blurb?
Really, traverse the world and parkour and things like that. So I'm thinking that to me feels like
as you move through the open maps, that doesn't mean open world maps, interact with historical figures. They mention freely features a wide variety of historically accurate open maps with 360-degree navigation. So that could be interpreted.
Here's the way I'm going to interpret it, and again, I'm going to keep my hopes super low with this one. I think because you're playing as 3 different people, you're playing them in chapters, like in the typical game, and each chapter or even each fucking character has their like hub area, and then the other probably similar sized areas that you can traverse through while completing their story. So I don't think it's going to be like an entire open world. I think it's going to be more like Assassin's Creed 1, where it's like a bunch of little hub sections
Yeah.
in between each mission.
Which honestly, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Like I loved the idea of like Assassin's Creed 1 had the city map and there was like 3 cities and you went to the city and that city was open and then you went to a different city, which was a loading screen to get to that. Like I'm watching the trailer again now and it feels kind of open linear. I'm not going to lie. Like it looks like they're moving, but I mean, that's hard to say in an open world game where you have an objective you're going to go to, right?
Yeah.
Like an open world game, if you're going to assassinate somebody, they're in this region. Like,
as long as
I don't know. How open is it really?
As long as it's not as constricted as the multiplayer from Black Flag. Because if you remember, it wasn't like full like open world multiplayer. It was like quick little in and out. Like this is your little hub. This is your little section that you're restricted to, and then that's it. So as long as it's not like that, I would feasibly say that it's something I'm interested in at the very least.
So it does have different navigation. It has an innovative combat and like movement, so like you can teleport and stuff like that. I had to say, man, I will make myself sick in this game jumping off of buildings to assassinate people. Like I fully expect to go just as like, I jump off a building and just
you're just like I gotta do one more.
Like leap of faith, dude. I just watched a video of the guy of Ezio doing a leap of faith off the top, and I'm like, that's gonna make me puke, but it's gonna be fun to do.
I think I've kind of gotten my vertigo for VR down from playing Boneworks a lot. There's a lot of like climbing and jumping mechanics in that.
Nice.
So I'm curious to see how Assassin's Creed Nexus can test me. I say that I'm gonna do my first leap of faith and just fucking puke. He's gonna do the flip and everything in first person when he's like putting his arms straight out to do the leap of faith, and I'm just gonna be like, and then like fall as he's flipping. Gonna fall fucking right into it.
You want a game that's gonna end that for you? Detached is a space like race sim where you play a guy and you spin, you fly, it made me like almost puke a couple of times. Just thinking about it makes me want to puke. Like their whole ad campaign was VR best practices. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And literally their trailer was like, how about don't be a bitch? And I was just like, damn. Fuck, dude.
Oh my god.
I was like, dude, you might as well just put "Get Good, Scrub" on the screen. Like, holy shit. It's aggressive as hell, their marketing. I was like, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It makes me puke, but I like it. But yeah, I mean it's coming out November. I'm cautiously optimistic that it'll be a good game. We'll see. Ubisoft has a fairly decent head on their shoulders at this point when it comes to like Assassin's Creed. They're finally going back to something good with Mirage.
Mm-hmm.
So but we'll fuck it. We'll see.
Yep.
Like that's really all there is to it. Is yeah, that's the right direction to go. So we are almost out of time. Mike, why don't we just quickly mention your PlayStation stuff and your next announcement that just got dropped, I guess.
So
we'll just do a quick.
Sony is finally launching their PS5 upgrade program. It's so far it's only limited to the US. Basically, if you buy any PS5 between now and like what the fuck was it, the end of this October or
I don't remember.
Jesus. Excuse me, sorry.
Mike just violently sneezed. He's dying. Ladies and gentlemen, his brain is leaking out of his nose. October 20th.
Yes, October 20th.
October 20th.
Is how long you have to redeem the game if you get a new PS5. Basically, that's the gist of it. If you get a PS5 right now, they will let you pick from a selection of games. Currently, you've got the Spider-Man games, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Ghost of Tsushima, the director's cut, which I think includes like another hour of something or other, and then also some like updated graphics. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Demon's Souls, The Last of Us Part 1, Sackboy Big Adventure, Returnal, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. That's the remaster. And then also Death Stranding director's cut.
Yeah.
They also did mention that, I guess, as they, continue this program moving forward, depending what games are coming out, they will cycle them out. So if, like, Rift Apart or something becomes obsolete for some reason, then they will replace it with whatever the current new game is at the time and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I still would rather just wait until there's a PS5 Pro, but it's not a bad option. Get a free game if you get a PS5.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Uh,
Next up, we got some Division news.
yeah. Ubisoft announced that Tom Clancy's The Division 3 is actually apparently a thing. I thought it was just going to end with Heartland, which I would have been completely fine with, because Heartland, from the beta that I played, and again, I sent DAs, all I can say is it's fucking amazing. Can't go into it any further than that. But
I don't know that you can even say that, but you did, so it's out there.
You could use super general descriptive things. You just can't be like, this specific mechanic and the way it plays.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
If they wanted to go full on, just like doubling down on the games as a service thing, ironically, as much as I hate it, it really does work for Tom Clancy's The Division. And if they wanted to, just double down on Heartland and support that game for years to come, I would have been fine with that. But apparently, after Ubisoft Massive finishes their Star Wars game, they're going to immediately start working on The Division 3, as well as keeping some of their staff behind to finish completing The Division 2 updates and stuff that are also apparently planned on their roadmap. But that's all I got for that. So looking forward to it.
I'm a little concerned by the statement that Massive Entertainment is going to take over development, or I guess head development, for Division 3 right after Star Wars Outlaws comes out. I hope there's still going to be a team there working on that game, because it's going to be buggy as hell on PC. Because all games release buggy as hell on PC, and I'd love to see some extended content on it. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
They've got enough people. I'm sure they'll be able to divvy it up efficiently, or they might have another studio step in after that is reputable within Ubisoft and just continue supporting for security and shit, at least,
Is there a release date for Heartland at all yet? I feel like you were playing that ages ago.
2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You're running out of time, Ubisoft. You're really running that sand down.
But that's all right. That's it. That's all I got for that. So
cool. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us today, guys. We appreciate you tuning in, watching this, listening to it. Hope you're driving safe or whatever you're doing while you're listening. Make sure you tell your friends. We do enjoy to have people come and continue to support the show. And the easiest way to do that is to just, tell your mom I said hi.
I was literally just thinking that.
Mike, any final thoughts before we sign off?
Oh my God! Well, you stole my my joke.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah, you guys thought that we were gonna do another hour-long episode, but just kidding. We're bringing back the Patreon. So $3 a month, less than a fucking coffee. Come on,
get it.